Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me and thanks for everybody who watched last week. This week a little bit more of the same. I have to carry on with some of the gearbox work. I'm trying to source two new fittings. I have to marry imperial to metric and change the fitting from female to male so that I can fit my new cooler. A little bit on that later on, but for now I'll carry on work with some portholes removing, and then a little bit later work on my deck. The Toerail repairs have to continue, and it's the very last little portion. As soon as the gearbox is done, I can swing the boat around so that I've got the benefit of something to stand on the dock side and work on the rest of the deck. So let's get going.
So, as you can see, this is the plugs that I've removed already, one, and I'm busy removing this one because it does not fit the new cooler at all. So this has to be removed. I need to find new ones. Hopefully I can find them with the same thread pattern, etc. But there is a lot of gunk in here that I don't want to fall anywhere. I definitely need to clean this up as well, and if all goes well, stop any gunk from falling into the gearbox. So I need, I guess, the male bit of this. I'm looking online and I'm trying to research a bit of this stuff, and I think I have found some, because we don't want any little bits of scrap in the gearbox. So I'm going to clean this up now off camera and then hopefully start cleaning the gearbox a little bit.
In the meantime, I'm carrying on removing the portholes in Zoe's room. They came out pretty easily from the inside. The frames were a little bit more difficult, but they did eventually come out. It's the outside bits that were truly difficult to do. But a little bit of gentle persuasion, and eventually with the crowbar, they popped right out. So not that big a deal. And since we don't need to keep these for any reason, I really don't care if they break a little bit. It's no big deal. They're all getting replaced anyway. Just a pity about my new paint job. Okay, so here, finally got this off, and there's a lot of cleaning up that needs to happen and sanding, and I've made a bit of a mess over here, but that's fine. I need to do the same outside now, but it's just the worst weather. It's gusting like crazy. It's definitely not the best. The same on this side, although on this side I wasn't successful in removing the frame, but I'll see if I can't remove the frame now and then go outside to take the other remaining frames off. Okay. Alright, so this is the Toerail work, and for those of you who have seen any of my previous videos, you'll recognize this method. It is the only way I could really deal with the Toerail. So I cut grooves into it, trying to avoid as many of the screws that are embedded and hidden away inside this beam. And then I hit it with a hammer until the little bits chop off. So I'm basically creating slivers. Later, once it's all off, I come through with the planer and I plane it down so that it matches the deck, and I probably do a little bit of hand sanding after that, fix anything I need to with thickened epoxy, and wait for that to dry, sand it again, and then build up the layers of glass and fairing so that I can have an even consistency with the deck. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So I'm just coming along and whacking it with a hammer and then using a chisel to get to some of it, and because I've cut it in slivers, it's just a matter of whacking it and it mostly comes out. If I've cut pieces that are thin enough, if I leave pieces that are too big or too thick, then it doesn't come off so well. But for the most part, this has gotten the 95% of the boat done this way. The occasional one will spring overboard and I usually scoop it out, or it sinks straight to the bottom. It is only wood, and I don't know if you saw that, but literally in that last second, that was the hammer going overboard. And so I shift my directions post haste to the salon to work on the port side and start removing all of the port lights. So just pausing work for a moment to go over all of my to-dos. So these are the things that I'm actively working on right now. Sand, prime salon window walls. That's this section here. I'm busy replacing these, same as we did this side end of last year. So the Toerail repairs, as you've seen, we're ongoing with that on the port side. Curtain boxes. So the curtain boxes, you don't see it here at the moment, but there's still a beam left from what used to be these old curtain boxes. They were just in the way. You can't open the things properly, so they've got to go. The galley bilge is still something that needs to happen. Reinforced laundry is something that needs to happen. Replacing the cockpit windows, that's what we just talked about. Finishing the new anchor. Starboard salon cupboard is this work that I started last year and didn't finish because other things became more important. So I'll carry that on in the next couple of weeks. The coach roof edges, so around the solar panels and all the way along the edge of the coach roof, that needs to be routed, painted, finished off so that that job is done. So those are the current bits of work. And then I've reorganized the board for, I guess, something that makes a bit more sense. There's a lot more tasks on the board, unfortunately.
here's the new stuff for the head, and starting with removing all the plumbing and stripping the in-room completely, taking cupboards out, cutting out the floor, the whole lot. This is some more interior work that needs to happen. This is all the rigging stuff. Anything with a little star on is an absolute, so we can't do without that. That needs to happen. For example, almost all of the rigging stuff is important, and definitely all of the plumbing stuff, because that's getting completely redone, including the new deck full and hoses, a water tank refurbishment. So interesting stuff that needs to happen, and some work in the V-berth, which is currently just a dumping ground for whatever I can squeeze in there. Obviously that needs to happen. Then there's also the work that needs to happen up front in the chain locker, and I don't know if I can show that to you. Give me a sec. Alright, hopefully there's not much glare, but that's the chain locker, and it just needs a coat of paint. It needs a bit of fixing. I want to have a look and see what that is. It looks like a repair, probably bumped something. I want to see what that is, and I want to deal with the drain. So if you have a look over there, the cables for the windlass come down the wall of the chain locker all the way down there and go through a hole at the bottom. So water's been dripping out of there, which is not what you want from a chain locker, and going underneath this little sleeping area underneath here, and filling up that area. So I have to vacuum it out every now and again. Even just humidity that builds up in the chain locker over time. Not great. Does need to happen though. Meanwhile, on the sidelines back at home, Carolyn is working on our cockpit cushions. So these will get done very, very soon. I'm hoping that we can have them done before the mid-February so that we can start setting that up. Can't wait. But this does, however, bring us to the end of this week's episode. Once again, thank you everybody who's joined, who's liked, subscribed and commented. I really do appreciate it, and I do read every comment. I know that the content seems a bit lackluster, but that's because there's so many jobs on the go, and I'm trying to knock off all of the stuff that's been sitting pending for a rather long time, and I have to get them done before I can start other work. The head being one of the biggest ones, and then the gearbox being the next biggest one. Without that, I can't really move the boat, and I can't really start on any of the electrical work I need to do either. But until then, have a great week, everybody. I will see you all next week. Cheers and take care.